To politics now, and the ANC is holding its National Executive Committee meeting this weekend to discuss a range of issues. For more, let's go to SABC News political editor Mzwandile Mbeje, who joins us now live from Boksburg. Good afternoon, Mzwai. So what's on the agenda of this week's NEC meeting?
Well, very good afternoon to you, Tulas, and the viewers. And then, in fact, perhaps some minor correction there. We know that these kinds of meetings normally take place in Boksburg, Birchwood, but this time around they are at Germiston, the council chambers. So that's where we are coming you from, Tulas. And then, of course, in terms of the agenda, so it's quite a number of issues really that are on the table. We know that the issues around the economy, in fact, what happened last night when the S&P somehow upgraded South Africa in terms of the ratings, we do understand it's something that we're going to be briefed about in the next 15 minutes or so. And the issues to us around BEE and the general economic transformation of the country, which is really at the core really of what this country should do if it wants to lift itself out of poverty. So those would be some of the issues. But also, you would be very well aware of what transpired a day or two ago with those Palestinian refugees, the kind of noise it generated. So what happened? What was their status? I do understand that before we came here, so that was the agenda item. In fact, the Secretary General Tulas of the ANC had indeed yesterday said he was quite worried with the lack of communication from government. And then he said this matter will also be spoken about here. So we also hope to hear a bit more in terms of what the President has already communicated. The G20, which is happening a week from now, is definitely one of the items. The country will be hosting one of the biggest events where the leaders of the most industrialized countries will be attending. And of course, I know people have been somehow personalizing it in terms of the actual persons who will be attending. But I mean, you and I would know that these gatherings would have representatives. Yes, preferably it's the leaders of the particular countries, but in so many instances, it's not always the full house. Perhaps with the exception of America, which had said it's going to send absolutely no one. But it is an agenda item. That is why, Tulas, right now around Johannesburg, in certain parts, the roads are blocked. They are dealing with the issue of the G20, and then of course it's the dry run of the rehearsals of what will happen next week.
So usually these meetings are, in fact, I think as per tradition, they're opened with a political overview. I imagine that in that political overview, it will be impossible to avoid some of the major developments of the last few days, the commissions of inquiry that are at play, the reports around what to do with Senzo Mchunu, and now the decision that has now been taken around him being allowed to go on special leave. Just outline what you expect in that regard about contemporary political issues in the environment.
Indeed. In fact, when we spoke to the acting spokesperson of the ANC, Nongaba Mhlawuli, did indicate that the president, when he opened his remarks, he spoke about the G20. I mean, it makes sense. This is a week away. And then, of course, briefed them again about the issues around Palestine. I think it will be slightly different to us on the issue of Senzo Mchunu. You'd recall that he has requested to step back a bit from the activities of the ANC whilst these commissions are ongoing. The attitude that the ANC really has been taking around these matters was that they do not want to make a running commentary on these issues. So they would rather allow them to run their course. But I think what is interesting to us was that when we look at the Commission of Inquiry, for example, the President gave the Commission 6 months, but started with 3 months to say the interim report that will be submitted in 3 months, so will give him enough reason to act if there is a reason, or if he finds that the evidence that has been led so is sufficient for him to act. And then, of course, 6 months. But, I mean, looking at how things are proceeding, I can tell you that the possibility of it being extended is very, very high. In fact, where we are, which is Ekurhuleni in the council chambers here in Germiston, one of the key departments of this municipality, the Metro Department of Ekurhuleni, is in the spotlight. And some of those revelations, really, I don't think anyone could have prepared for some of those things. So the ANC, what it has said to us was that it will take a view that it will not do a running commentary, but it will rather wait. But where there is perhaps evidence that is undeniable, I guess some sort of action may follow.
All right, Mzwai, let's leave it there for now. I believe we will be coming back to you shortly when that briefing that you alluded to gets underway. That's SABC News political editor Mzwandi Lembeje out in Germiston at the council chambers tracking the National Executive Committee meeting of the ANC. He mentions there the goings on at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. It's one of the stories that we have up ahead lined up for you after this short break.